If I make a journal with these, I will make it at the end rather than the beginning. Then I noticed this dress has pinky purpley flowers. My favourite storage solution so far. That will balance with her there. So you'll have a diagonal. It takes the stickiness off, but it actually also does alter the colour. Look, a bit like framing a picture printed up on coffee stained paper. I want vintage, but I want positive vibes. Hi guys, it's Jamie here. And although I'm starting it late, I am going to do the Junk Journal January challenge. It's just the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to do, hopefully, 7 spreads, a week's worth of prompts in one video. Quick little pages that you can collage and do according to the prompts. The first prompt is New Beginnings. I have a very coffee stained piece of paper here. If I make a journal with these, I will make it at the end rather than the beginning. That way I've got some flexibility. For New Beginnings, because I have just been working on my mum's junk journal, the year she was born, 1947, was the year of the new look. And the new look was the end of, or the phasing out of, clothing rationing and the full skirt. And in the UK, very famously and outrageously, Princess Margaret wore one, and it was considered outrageous because it was still post-war and there was still a shortage of supplies. I couldn't find a picture of a really puffy skirt, but I did find this one which was slightly puffy and is from the era, so that's kind of my starting point. And from there I just wanted to create a collage that meant a little something to me. So looking back, recently I haven't had a holiday for ages, for the same reason most people haven't been travelling. One of the last trips I did do was to Venice with my middle daughter to celebrate her GCSE results, and she'd always wanted to go to Venice, and she was right, it is stunning. So I thought I'd tear up a picture of Venice and somehow work this in together. I'm not sure how yet, into some kind of collage, but I need to leave some journaling space as well. That already, it's a bit odd, but if you put a journaling envelope or space here, that would be okay actually. Colour wise, I'm thinking my mum's journal was very bright and very Indian, so maybe now go pale, even pastel tones. Let's put these two down because I want this to be quick. If I make a decision, I want to go for it immediately before I back out or persuade myself to do something different. A little cutting tip I picked up from, oh, I can't remember their name now, I don't follow them, but I saw one of their videos, was when you've got to cut out a small area here, rather than poke in and cut round, cut through and then round. And then when you glue it together, it won't show that you did that. And actually it is 9 times out of 10 a really awesome tip. So we have the 1947, 1950s woman. We have a bit of Venice. I suppose we need a word. Printed these up the other day. Now if it's the start of a journal, maybe Let Me Tell You a Story is quite a good, but is that going to be too big? I'm going to cut that out and check it out for size. Changed my mind immediately because then I saw the words A New Beginning and the actual prompt is New Beginnings. Then I noticed this dress has pinky purpley flowers, very similar to these. I thought I'd cut these out next as well. And then maybe I will show you my storage system for my small bits of ephemera and we can have a little hunt through those. Here is my favourite storage solution so far. These boxes are not cheap, they're actually meant to hold photos. They're from Amazon, but if you can see what I've done, I've got things like large tickets, advert number tickets, cigarette cards, postcards, and then when I've cut some pieces out, I can just add them and then have a little hunt through, and they're so easy to find. I'm going with a pinkish theme. I think maybe this one. If I use it, I'm just going to pull some bits out for now and then see how I feel. I actually have 2 of these, but the second one isn't particularly full yet. The only other thing I've just pulled out is a bit of paper for writing on. Get this torn down. I think I'm tempted to rip it down a little bit more and have it there. Got these little flowers, got going corners, got the title New Beginnings, stamp, ticket. Now that looks like it's going to work. The only other way you could do it is take the New Beginning off this bit and put it up at the top. I think that works better. Keep all the pink concentrated down here, definitely works better. There's still a bit of space to write, isn't there? I'm just wondering if you should put a little bit of washi tape diagonally across that bit. We have a choice. We could have something very contrasty, like that, which I'm not disliking. Or, oops, stick with that. Normally you can pull them back up, but obviously not in this case. Okay, that is the first prompt. The prompt for day 2 was little moments, and I want to stick with a unifying theme throughout. Probably Italy, women, fashion, something like that. Obviously the colours as well. I have this paper, but when you put her on here, she gets lost. Only 1 or 2 things that you could do. One is stabilo around her, give her a strong outline, and that way she'll pop, or have her on a different background. I have another paper, which is this one, which is really, really pretty. And I was thinking of potentially putting her against a different background, like that one, so she does pop out a bit more. Maybe do her like that, and then make this a pocket. Why this is little moments is I thought she could be looking at a little butterfly. It's a bit big, but hey, proportions, who cares? Another thing I like to do when making pockets, so this now fits the page, is do the notch out. This is my 2.5 inch circle punch. That appears to be about halfway. Oh, paper was too thin. Okay, solution time. Need to punch 2 at the same time. Have I got any spare? Got some of this. Forgot this was really thin paper. My error. I'm going to have to punch a slightly deeper one now. There we go. So if your paper's ever too thin, do 2 layers and it's fine. Shall I edge this with either the espresso or the dusky pink? Am I going to go really girly with this? The espresso fits the background, the dusky pink fits the foreground, or I could go the blue because I'm going to put the butterfly on there. Maybe blue's too much. I'm going to be boring and do brown. And I think for fun, I'm going to edge this page in the blue. Because no one ever does that, so let's do it. I hate it. I can always reprint the page. Yeah, it's subtle, but it's quite nice. I'm going to do that all over, actually. I quite like that. It's going to be quite a busy looking page, but I'm okay with it. I'm going to put this pocket down and then glue those 2 bits that I've decided upon on the pocket and have a little think. Rather large butterfly, like I say, but no wonder she's looking. Little moments. Let's have a quick, while all of that holds, quick look at these words. Little moments, maybe little things. Do we take away from the butterfly a little bit that it's oversized by putting the little things there? Now I'm going to pop that over, and I think that makes the butterfly seem slightly less large. Managed to get that even vaguely straight? No, of course not. Does it matter? Not really. Now this, part of me does feel this is too strong, and I'm wondering whether I use some of this offcut to create a little journaling space above it. Rather than put it centrally, I'm going to put it slightly to one side and then do something here. That will balance with her there. So you'll have a diagonal across. Now you'll notice I'm not lining it up with the pocket. I've brought it in slightly. We'll still be able to create the diagonal, but by bringing it in, we're not being too uniform. We're creating interest even in this line because it's broken up going down. I just need an image, maybe in blue, to pick up on the blues. That might look quite nice. I'm going to have a little hunt around, see what I've got. Absolutely the first thing I came across, my son ordered something, I've no idea what, his money, not mine. And there were some stamps on it, which is really unusual because a lot of businesses use franking machines. And look at those. The yellow picks up on her dress. There's a bit of blue in that river. There's a bit of green that picks up on the butterfly. I think there's purple on the Queen's head. I know it's not Italian. If Italy is part of the theme, I think the colours are definitely the theme and the mid-century. I like that. I think it's simple. You've got your journaling spots, just need to make a tag. We'll do that as torn edges, and that will be day 3. Pop these down and we'll look at some junk for making a tag with. The other day I started to cover some old labels with some book pages and bits and pieces because my scrap box was overflowing. They were actually torn, and I'm wondering if that's cheating, if I use something I've already pre-made and just decorate it. I want to work quickly, so I don't see why not. I'm just going to straighten this up on the board because you can see it's not perfectly cut, and look to see how we're going to decorate this, but it will fit and it will need backing because this has glue on it and shiny, so you couldn't write on that. Journaling card's now ready. I've cornered it as well. I'm probably going to edge it with the brown. Very quick thing to do is to use napkins. I have this beautiful hummingbird one that I've never used before, and my aim is to get the hummingbird on here. To use the napkin, all I'm going to do is take the ply off. I think there's either 2 or 3, and the only way to find out is to play. Only 2. And then I think I'm going to use the Mod Podge or Collage glue. The advantage of the silicone brushes is they clean up really easily, so you're less likely to ruin them. I ruin brushes all the time with the glues. The disadvantage is you're going to get a very uneven, strokey coverage. So if you want it smooth, you're going to have to go over that with your finger to smooth out the brush strokes. We cover it, very, very gently pat that in. Another coat of glue on the top, and it will dry clear. While the journaling card is drying, I'm not overly happy with this dark area on this paper, therefore I'm going to cover that. I'm going to use some of this, just torn, so again hitting that brief of torn, and cover this dark area. I don't know if it's necessary to put anything here or whether you could just leave it like that. It's quite nice like that. I do have a couple of flowers that I could have coming off the page, which might finish it off nicely, and then trim it up. Right, let's check how that journaling card's doing. It's dry, as it could do with being a bit flatter, but you can press it between some books to flatten it out. It's actually just manipulating back into shape. I'm going to cut round this and then probably use a sanding block on the edges, or you can use a nail file if you don't have one. Quite dark, isn't it, in comparison to that? I know what lighten it and also take any stickiness off is baby powder. It takes the stickiness off, but it actually also does alter the colour, look, of what you're working on. And it's going into those creases and creating quite a nice effect. So it's taken the shine off, it smells gorgeous. And it's taken the colour down a bit to be a bit paler. I'm going to go with a bit of pink to bring that into the journaling card. Now I'm getting colourful again. I think this will work. This is the Victorian Velvet Tim Holtz Distress Ink. It's one of my favourite colours at the moment, more so than the browns. That and the blue, which is the Salvage Patina, sort of bluey green. Yeah, I think that helps a little. Is that day 2 and 3 done? I think it might be. When I come to sew them in and make a journal, what I will do is I'll take journaling cards out, sew it in, and then put them back in. Day 4, stickers. Get to those in a second. First things first, we need a piece of paper. This is the paper I'm going to use for the next page in this junk journal. I don't want the journal to be too big. I want it roughly this size. I've had a look and I can do one of two things. If I cut along the fancy border, which would make quite a nice page border, it will make the journal bigger, but not too much bigger. Or I can cut along the inner border, the big black one, and then it would actually fit inside the journal size that I was going to go for. However, I can't resist the fancy border. There's a couple of ways you can treat this page before adding stickers. You could either put some coffee stained paper over it to create some journaling space, or you could leave it as it is and just put stickers over it. I'm going to, it's more than a couple then, isn't it? It's a few. I'm going to get the white gesso, which actually has got a bit pink in it. That's okay. And just dry brush over bits of the page to take some of the colour down. The paint's now dried. As you can see, it's got a slight pinky hue, but I think, given that this is quite pink and purple, that's okay. A couple of things I want to do before we do the stickers is, having painted it down, I want to bring the black edging back. To do that, I'm using a permanent black ink. This is Memento. I think a lot of people use Versamark. The other thing I want to do, having brushed all that colour out, you'll think I'm totally insane, because now I'm going to use the espresso to put some colour back in. But again, it's going to be on the edges. And the reason being that whatever I do now in the middle will be framed, a bit like framing a picture. I've re-inked where I said I would re-ink, and I think that gives it a bit more drama. And now I found some stickers that I felt went with the theme. This is some paper from the previous page, and I want to put that here because there are straight edges here, and I do want to create journaling spots. This one I got free from the TLC group. I think it's TLC. So I want to use that again because I think you could write on it. Don't want to cover up the music paper completely. The actual sticker part isn't the woman, it's these two. What I like to do with circles is put them behind people's heads, because a bit like a halo, they make the head stand out. Let me just get to the number 12. There we go. So you'll see that if you put her even slightly to the side of the clock, it brings her out a bit. And then you can either put this over her or under her. I think again, possibly under, so she becomes the focal point, and this one under there. So I'm getting a pattern going here. My ink this one with the brown. With the woman, I've already inked her. When you fussy cut from white paper, something you can do, because often I'll print on coffee stained paper, but these ones I hadn't printed on coffee stained, So when you fussy cut on white paper, what you can do is after you fussy cut, at the back of the paper, go round it with a black ink pad, just the edges. It will catch the edge, so you won't necessarily come over the picture, but any whiteness is dulled down and make it. It's a very subtle difference, but it does make them pop a little bit more. For the wording on this page, not that you have to have wording on every page, obviously, apart from the word stickers on here, which I don't think would be something I'd really want in a journal, I found this life is in the details on that sheet that I've got. I think for a change, I want to do something like this. I was about to say I'm not feeling the need to edge it, but if I edge it, I want to edge it in black, which I wouldn't normally do on a small detail like that. In this case, it will work better than the brown. Maybe it's having that big black border there and also going against mostly that pale lemon and lilac-y pink colours. Day 5 is fabric. Don't have a fabric I want to use with this theme. It's mostly boho, but I do have some lace. I don't want to obviously use the lace on this page because I've already inked it so much. I'm going to put that to a side and get some more paper and start another page. This is my lace box. I really don't have that much in the way of fabrics and laces. I pulled this one out because I do like it, and it happens to match this piece of coffee stained or tea stained paper perfectly. And I'm looking at it thinking, all I want to do is put that fabric on that page. I don't want to do anything else. And that feels like a massive cheat when there's a prompt. I feel like I should do more, but I should also go with what I like, and I like it like that. I'm going to run the glue. I'm not even going to make it a tuck spot or anything. I'm going to run the glue along that thickish edge. So the netting bit doesn't really have any glue on it. There's a few minutes playtime before it fully glues down. Once you're happy, just hold it, smooth it and hold it. I think even for inspiration, I'm going to end up doing something quite simple. My inspiration, I think, is the sea, beach, sun, summer. I've gone with beach. I found these photographs from the 1950s from the Lido di Jesolo, which is the beach resort near to Venice. And so I'm going to do a very simple page border. What I will be doing is going round these images, which were printed up on coffee stained paper, which I think helps make them look older. I will go round the edges with the espresso. My popular one, the vintage photo, needs re-inking, which is why I'm not using it. But actually, when you're using coffee stained paper that's this dark, the vintage photo isn't dark enough to frame. The next one is positive vibes. I will have to think about that because, again, positive vibes for me is the beach. And we can't do the beach twice. I'm thinking of doing something very, very simple. I think this one at the top, and then this one with life is better at the beach between the two of them. Simply doing that. Didn't quite finish in a day. I got to day 6 on inspiration. It's now the following day and we're on day 7, positive vibes. Now, obviously my inspiration is the beach. Positive vibes would also be a beach, but I also thought I love sunflowers and they always make me smile, and that would be a positive vibe, wouldn't it? Again, on coffee stained paper, I've printed up some images from my PixArt app of sunflowers. With these ones, what I'm going to do is create a sort of Andy Warhol style background. What I thought I would do is tear some strips. They don't have to be even, from each of these colourways. So they are the same picture, just done with different effects, and then placed together as a grid so that they're all on one piece of paper. Very easy to do, by the way, because I am not computer literate. After a little bit of prep, we're good to go. Because the book is 50s, Italy, purple, who knows. I've taken 2 pages out of a book on the 50s. This is Gina Lollobrigida, an Italian actress considered the, I think, Marilyn Monroe of Italy. And then on here we have a Vespa, which I always associate with Italy. So the middle pages, though, are about transport, not very interesting, and not Marlon Brando, James Dean. Gorgeous, but again, not Italian. In a collage are strips onto the 2 pages. Even if this doesn't end up being on the centre of the signature and other papers go on top, I don't think that's an issue. Might be an issue for detail, but not initially for the collage. I have my new favourite, which is the Vintage Collage Distress Medium, because we are trying to go for a older vintage look. That's why the use of all the coffee papers and things like that. This does work as a glue. I think if any of this print, if I have to leave any of this print showing, that colour will help anyway. And I am simply going to pop them down, cover the top, and then add another one. Little bits are showing through, but that's all right. Adds to the artistic nature. The advantage of using this particular paste, and I am a bit of a fan of it at the moment, is that you don't then have to stain on top if you want a vintage look to your papers, or an extra vintage look. I think I might actually deliberately leave some gaps, and I might, just to create a bit more interest, split some of these into smaller pieces. Nice and dry now, a little bit sticky. I'm not sure if the images I've got are gonna stand out against that background, or whether I need to dull this background down a bit. I think I probably do need to dull it down, which is a bit of a shame. I'm going to try initially just the talcum powder, because it'll take some stickiness off anyway, and it does tend to change the colour slightly. But if that doesn't work, then I might come in with some gesso and do a bit more art treatment to this. It's the baby powder on, smelling nice. Let's have a look. Definitely helps a little bit. I think I'm going to have to gesso over it, dry brush it. Even though I do like the stripy effect, I still want the top parts to pop a bit more than that. I'm wondering if I should do some stamping and some watercolour effects as well. I know these were meant to be quick little projects. What should we do? Should we do Stress ink or the watercolour crayons? It's meant to be positive vibes, so I don't think I'm going to go browns, which was my initial thoughts. I think I will do a bit of old gold, but then brighter yellows and maybe even some white. The way I do this is I want to create more bordery type effect rather than all over. Going to see how this works out, run that down, see what we get. This does take a little bit of playing with. You just do it until you're happy. Quite like that as a border. Tempted to do it all the way around the page. Got enough water now on the page to not have to spray it again. I want vintage, but I want positive vibes. It's a bit difficult to decide how to do that. I like the simplicity of that. I was going to run some white over it, so I will try that, particularly on these edges, to emphasise the joins. It's a little damp, but I can still put things on there and have a look. Now she pops. Now she pops. I cut the car because I thought the car might make a little pocket, in which case there's no room for her, of course. But as it's a double page, you could have her on this side and the pocket on this side and have this as a centre signature. Also got a little box because it is meant to be a journal. Got some sunflowers. I'm not sure the sunflowers on that box do the box justice. So maybe you do want to put some sunflowers on the box, cover up the ones that are on there. We have La Dolce Vita. What are we thinking? I think it needs to swap round a bit. I think the car needs to be going in the page, not off the page. Because she's facing the same way as the car, she will need to be here. So again, she's not off the page. This will have a journaling tag, so I think this title needs to swap over here and this over there. So literally swap things around. Be back when I've done that. I think that's pretty good to go. I mean, the only thing is that corner's a little empty, so you could bring the journaling space down and have it there instead and have her up a bit. I'm going to glue all of this down because I'm pretty happy with that now. Everything is now stuck down. I've decided to create some more journaling space by putting some matching type paper over this picture, but still leaving Gina, Lola, Brigida at the back. And also there's journaling spot here and a piece of that paper in here on the pocket. This now belongs in here. As you can see, the pages are coming together. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It does help other people see the video on YouTube, and it's a free way you can help me out. And let me know what you think of the pages so far and the new journal, which I'm going to call La Dolce Vita. I will see you next time.